Here is section 1, 500 words, of the story A True Infidelity Cousin Story. Tailored for a faceless narration video, with emotionally driven storytelling, inner conflict and subtle tension. 8-spoked asterisk, section 1. The Forbidden Bond, 500 words. We were a big family. Close, loud and traditional. Weekends meant long dinners, shared stories, and laughter that echoed through the house. And in the middle of it all was her. My cousin, who had just moved in for a few months because of her new job in the city. She was always around growing up. We'd climb trees, chase after ice cream trucks, and laugh over silly jokes only kids could understand. Back then we were just cousins, nothing more, nothing less. But now we were adults. And something had changed. The day she walked into our house again, suitcase in hand, I noticed it. Her smile was the same, but she carried herself differently. Mature, confident, graceful. She wasn't the little girl from childhood anymore. And I wasn't the same either. Started small. We stayed up late, sitting on the balcony, talking about work, life and heartbreak. She told me things she hadn't shared with anyone in the family. I listened maybe too closely. Her laughter made my heart beat faster, and her presence filled the room in a way that made me nervous. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was just being protective, that we were just close because of our shared past. But deep down I knew. It wasn't just care. It wasn't just familiarity. It was something else. I caught myself watching her more than I should. How she tucked her hair behind her ear. How her eyes sparkled when she got excited about something. One evening, I passed her in the narrow hallway. Her hand brushed against mine just briefly. But it was enough. We both paused. Our eyes met for a second too long. Neither of us said a word. That night I couldn't sleep. My thoughts were a mess. I kept trying to convince myself that I was just imagining it. That this was wrong. That we were family. But the truth. That moment lingered. It replayed in my mind over and over. The days that followed were a blur of mixed signals. There was tension. Unspoken, electric, impossible to ignore. We kept everything normal on the surface. Family dinners, chores, shared smiles. But in private, the silence between us was louder than any words. She'd catch me looking. Catch her doing the same. Neither of us admitted anything, but the space between us kept shrinking. And I started to wonder, was I the only one feeling this? Or were we both standing at the edge of something we couldn't take back? White heavy check mark. Let me know when you're ready for section 2. Crossing the line, and I'll continue the story. Here is section 2, 500 words, of A True Infidelity Cousin Story. Titled Crossing the Line. This section deepens emotional intensity, shows the moment of betrayal, and maintains a tone suitable for faceless narration with atmospheric visuals and voiceover-driven storytelling. 8-spoked asterisk, section 2. Crossing the Line, 500 words. It was a rainy Friday night. The kind where the world outside felt far away. Thunder echoed softly in the distance, and the lights flickered once before settling into a dim glow. Most of the family had gone to a wedding out of town. Only the two of us stayed behind, me because of work, her because she said she wasn't in the mood for crowds. We found ourselves in the living room, wrapped in blankets, watching a movie we barely paid attention to. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was heavy, almost comforting, but filled with everything we weren't saying. She looked at me during one of those long pauses. Really looked. Her eyes weren't asking a question. They were daring me to answer one I'd been avoiding. I feel like I can tell you anything, she said softly. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with restraint. And that was the moment I should have walked away. Instead I leaned in. I don't remember who moved first. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was both of us, pulled by something we had buried for too long. Our lips touched. It wasn't planned. It wasn't thought through. Just happened. For a second we froze, like reality had stopped breathing. But then we kissed again. And this time it wasn't a mistake. We ended up in my room. Every movement felt slow but urgent. It wasn't just physical. It was loaded with every late-night conversation, every look, every silent wish we never dared to speak aloud. It was gentle. It was overwhelming. It was everything it shouldn't have been. And in the middle of it all, I kept telling myself, just once, just tonight, just to feel something real. But nothing about it felt temporary. Afterwards, we laid there in silence. The room was warm, but I felt cold inside. I stared at the ceiling, counting every breath, every heartbeat. I could feel the weight of what we'd done pressing into my chest. She turned away from me, pulling the sheet up to her shoulder. No words, no goodbye, just silence. I wanted to say something, anything, but every sentence sounded like a lie. What could I possibly say to fix what we had just broken? We didn't just cross a line. We shattered it. The door creaked slightly as she left the room. I didn't stop her. Couldn't. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about desire or confusion. This was betrayal, in its most intimate form. Not just of family. Not just of tradition. But of the parts of ourselves we thought we understood. White heavy check mark. Let me know when you're ready for section 3. The aftermath, where guilt, secrets, and emotional fallout take over. Here is section 3, 500 words, of a true infidelity cousin story, titled The Aftermath. This section explores guilt, silence, and emotional collapse, continuing the intimate, faceless narrative ideal for emotional storytelling. 8-spoked asterisk, section 3. The aftermath, 500 words. The next morning was too quiet. No birdsong, no footsteps, just the low hum of the ceiling fan and the weight of everything we had done pressing down on me. I stared at the closed door she had walked through just hours ago. My heart was racing, not from excitement, but from a growing sense of dread. What now? She didn't come to breakfast. I sat at the table alone, stirring my tea until it went cold. I kept replaying the night over and over. Every kiss, every touch, every silence between us. And then, like a haunting echo, I kept hearing one word in my mind. Wrong. It had felt so right in the moment. But in the morning light, it felt devastating. When I finally saw her again that afternoon, she was in the garden, pretending to water the plants. She didn't look up. She didn't smile. And neither did I. We were strangers again, but worse. We were strangers carrying a secret that didn't fit anywhere in our lives. Over the next few days, everything changed. She barely spoke to me. If we crossed paths in the hallway, we'd both look the other way. If someone else was around, we'd pretend everything was fine. I laughed when others laughed. She joined in on family games. But I could feel the wall between us growing higher, thicker, colder. I tried to talk to her once. I walked into the kitchen where she was making tea. "We need to talk," I whispered. She didn't even look at me. Just said, "There's nothing to talk about," and walked out. That hurt more than I expected. What hurt even more was how easy she made it look. Like it never happened. Like I was the only one haunted by it. But I wasn't. Late one night, I saw her standing alone on the rooftop, staring into the dark sky. Her shoulders trembled slightly. I wanted to go to her, to say I'm sorry, to ask if she felt the same wreckage inside. But I didn't move. And she didn't look back. My sleep vanished. Food lost its taste. Even my closest friends noticed I wasn't myself. One of them asked me if I was okay. I said I was just tired. The truth. I was unraveling. There's a unique kind of pain in keeping a secret so heavy it starts to rot you from the inside. Felt dirty. Shame. But worse than that, I felt alone. Completely, utterly alone. We had done something unforgivable. And now we were paying for it in silence. Every time I saw her laugh with someone else, it twisted something in my gut. I wasn't jealous. I was mourning. Mourning the bond we broke. Mourning the version of us that could never come back. And yet, a part of me still longed for that night. And that scared me more than anything. White heavy check mark. Let me know when you're ready for section 4. Consequences and closure, the final part where emotions settle or explode. Here is section 4, 500 words, of a true infidelity cousin story, titled Consequences and Closure. This section delivers the emotional conclusion, reflecting on guilt, distance, and the silent damage that never fully heals. It's written in a tone ideal for faceless, voice-over-style storytelling. 8-spoked asterisk, Section 4. Consequences and Closure, 500 words. Time moved on, but we didn't. Weeks passed. Family routines returned. Laughter filled the house again, but none of it reached me. Or her. She kept her distance. Carefully. Deliberately. We spoke only when we had to, and even then the words felt mechanical, like strangers stuck playing relatives. Eventually she moved out. Quietly. No announcement. Just packed her things one weekend and left a day earlier than planned. She told the family it was for work. She told me nothing. I watched her from the upstairs window as she closed the car door. She didn't look back. And I didn't wave. That was our goodbye. Silent, unfinished, and heavy. For a long time after, I kept thinking about what we were, or what we could have been if things had been different. If we weren't cousins. If we weren't tied by blood and family and tradition. If life had given us a different script. But it hadn't. And we wrote a story we could never read aloud. I never told anyone. Not a soul. I carried it like a stone in my chest. One I couldn't drop and couldn't show. I tried to distract myself, work, hobbies, even dating again. But nothing really worked. Because how do you move on from something you can't even name? She stayed in the family orbit. Weddings, birthdays, holidays. We still saw each other. We still pretended. She brought a boyfriend once. Smiled. He smiled back. And that was it. In those moments, I wondered if she remembered. If it still haunted her the way it haunted me. But she never gave anything away. Maybe she buried it deeper. Maybe she healed. Maybe I didn't. Months turned into years. The memory didn't fade, it just dulled like an old scar. Still there. Still real. Just not bleeding anymore. I've since written about it. In journals. In late-night texts I never sent. In stories no one would recognize. And each time I try to make sense of it. Try to understand why two people who were supposed to love each other platonically could end up breaking so much. Sometimes I blame the silence. Other times I blame the closeness. But mostly I blame myself, for letting one night rewrite an entire chapter of our lives. Now when I see her we nod politely. We smile for family photos. We hug like cousins do. But we never meet each other's eyes for too long. Because in those eyes we both still see it, the truth we promised to forget. The night that changed everything. And the silence that followed it. End arrow final voiceover line. Not all stories are meant to be shared. Some live only in the hearts of those who survived them. Quiet, buried, and unforgettable. Let me know if you'd like the full 2,000-word story compiled, or if you want help with faceless video visuals, title screen, or voiceover scripting.